Hello, friends. We're so excited to be back with another episode of Two Crones and a Mic. So today we kind of had a plan, but we really don't because, it's us. So that's just how we roll. We're going to process a few things today from the last episode. So we're going to um, invite you in to process it with us, and we're going to talk about it a little bit.
But first, we'll open with some kind of a meditation. And I want to start with it's probably not going to be much of a meditation. Before we started, I decided to pull a card just to see what happens. So I'm using, I always have to do shout outs here, using Rebecca Campbell's Work Your Light Oracle card deck. I love this deck. It's beautiful. It's got
It's a good
gorgeous,
one.
yeah, it's got really gorgeous art. And because I'm a little nervous about today's episode. I'm going to be really honest. I keep saying, but Bettina, I don't want to say that, but I don't want to say that. And so what we got, the gorgeous artwork, and it's birthing a new age. And literally, the second sentence hit me. So the first
Mhm.
sentence is, often our path is exactly the one we don't feel prepared to walk. Walk it anyway.
Oh, great. What else you have, Spirit?
I'm
It's
leaving
been a
her
rough
right there.
week, people. So we're going to fill you in, but India is going to do a little bit of a grounding
Yeah.
meditation for us. So
So I'm actually going to use a little bit. There is a an activation prayer that goes with this card. So I'm going to use a little bit of that. But first, let us just take this moment, if it is safe for you, to close down your eyes and take that deep breath. I invite you to sit up a little taller if you can, lengthen that spine, straighten that spine. If you notice that you're leaning forward, bring your energy back a little bit. That's what I'm going to do. You're going to hear me move my mic here. Take those nice, deep cleansing breaths first, paying attention as the air passes the tip of your nose. And then when you're ready, follow that breath down to your lungs and even into your belly. And settle into that space. One of my favorite authors, Glennon Doyle, reminds us that we can do hard things. The quote that is most often attributed to Ruth Bader Ginsburg says, "Speak your truth, even if your voice shakes." When Bettina and I moved into this agreement that we were going to do a podcast, we had no idea the path that we were going to be asked to walk. Now, invite all of you who are listening to think about a time when you were invited to do something and you had no idea what you were getting into. And yet there was so much learning, so much growth. There was beauty in the pain, also known as collateral beauty. And there was pain in the beauty. And so that is where we are in this moment. We trust that we are all an aspect of Creator, and that we have been invited to live in this time, in this space, to use our voices, to do the hard things. As Teddy Roosevelt said, and Brene Brown helped us remember, to dare greatly. And so it is in that intention that we open to surrendering to the creations that are wanting to be birthed through us now. May we be of service in a way that delights our minds, bodies, and souls. And we remember the words of St. Francis of Assisi in his prayer where he prayed to be an instrument of peace, an instrument of good. So it is in that intention that we say to Creator, please lead me, please show me the way, please use me to be the love that we all need to remember. So we take another deep breath, hold it at the top, and blow it out. And we take the next step courageously, daring greatly, knowing that we are an instrument of peace and love, and that we can always do the hard things. And so it is.
Amen. Always thank you for doing that. It always sets the tone, and I really, really enjoy these little meditations.
Thank you. And I am really grateful to all the people I quoted in that because they have
Yes,
amazing quotes.
they do.
And
They're
I'm a
so
quote
wise.
person. I'm a quote person.
Yeah,
Something grabs my heart. I'm just like, give me that. Give
yeah.
me that. And so
It
yeah.
resonates. Yeah, it
Yeah.
resonates. Well, good. Well, I don't even know where to begin, but if you watched the episode last week, we had our friend Christy on, and she's channeling an alien being or an extraterrestrial, as they want to be called, named Ramadir. And
Which, by the way, can I pause right there
yes, please
and
do.
say, I looked up because Ramadir, I was like, Rama, that's a Hindu
Uh-huh.
phrase, and it's a Hindu term, and it actually means deity. And so Rama dear,
Really?
if we look at that, it's like dear God.
Oh
That
my
was
gosh.
such an interesting thing to me. And I'm not saying that, like our God or our creator is an alien
Yeah.
or an
No,
ET,
no.
but I thought it was a very interesting connection.
Yeah.
Because like, like I like quotes, I also like words, and I'm always trying to figure out the etymology of words. And Rama dear was like God dear or dear God,
Dear God.
I thought
Wow,
that
that
was
makes sense.
very interesting. So anyway, continue on with your story.
Thank you, because now I don't know where I left off, but no.
You left off at
No, that's okay.
we had an experience with Ramadir.
So it was a wonderful one. I mean, I was so excited to have them on. It was crazy. It was crazy enlightening. It was crazy exciting. And I was just so happy to have them on.
And we're
Now,
going to do
I
it
do,
again, just so everybody knows.
we'll
We're
do
going
it
to
again because
Mhm.
it was just not enough time. There was not enough time with them. But the whole time, I remember when we recorded the podcast, I hardly said a peep. And I
That is true.
thank you, Indira, for keeping the show going, because I don't know what I would have done if you wouldn't have been there. But, in the moment, I thought I was starstruck. But as you and I talked about it later, thinking back, the energy that that they have about, well, I don't even know how to explain it, the energy that they have, even though we're not even in the same room or the same state, was just so overwhelming for me that I feel like I was just paralyzed. I couldn't really, I don't know, I just could not participate really. Right. And so thank you, Indira, for taking it all and asking all the questions and keeping the show going. But it's just like, and then we dealt with the energy just like still several days later. It was
Yes.
just so hard on us. I mean, hard. It was a lot. It was a
It
lot.
was a lot. Yeah. I want to say so this wasn't my first time of experiencing that intensive an energy. I was not expecting the major low. Well, let me just say I wasn't expecting it. It's just not my first time. It wasn't my
Mhm, mhm,
first rodeo. Um, and I'll start with like that morning, I was on my way to see my husband at the prison.
mhm.
And so I'm heading in, and I am like, it took everything I had to get out of bed that morning. And it's not like I have to leave early, 10:15. And it was like 9 o'clock, and I'm still in bed. And I'm like,
Wow.
why can't I move? I'm so tired. And so I decided to like caffeinate myself, and I drink Celsius drinks, which are not, they're basically the equivalent of a Diet Coke. They're not, they say that they have a lot better chemicals in them than say, like Red Bull or something like that. But
Mhm, mhm,
they still test really low on the vibration scale. But I would imagine caffeine tests low on the vibration scale, though
yes.
in the manner in which we consume it. So that's just something we're going to talk about. And
Mhm,
so anyway, I decided to do a Celsius, and then to lose some weight, my doctor had put me on a very low dose of a diet pill, and but it still has caffeine in it. So I'm like, I'm doubling down. I'm doing the Celsius, I'm doing the diet drink, and I'm thinking that I'm caffeinated, but I was not.
no.
So the experience I had was not caffeination. And so as I'm walking in, I immediately hear, "So you're getting ready to interview an alien. So what questions? What question would you have if you ever got to ask an alien a question? What question would you answer, or what question would you ask?" And I was like, "Question." Like, I have all the questions because I do understand, and Bettina, I think you do too, that ETs have been here for a long time and that they do have a higher level understanding of why we're
Yes,
here.
yes,
And
yes.
we from an energetic and intellectual standpoint, I mean absolutely no disrespect, but we ride the short bus as human
Yeah,
beings.
definitely.
I mean no disrespect to kids who rode the short bus. I
Mhm,
mean no,
mhm.
it's
No, no, no.
that's saying it's we are yeah, we're not there. We have a long way to
Oh
go
gosh, no.
as a
Gosh,
species.
no.
And so so I go in, and I not only sat there for 3 hours with my husband and developed a page and a half of question. Actually, it was 2 pages by the time we were done. It was front to back, 1 page, but it was, technically 2.
Mhm.
Not not only did we do that, but I also said some things to him that were very wise. And while sometimes, yes, I do have wisdom. I'm, 52 and I've lived a long life in this
Mhm,
lifetime.
mhm.
Um, there was things that I wouldn't normally say or even believe or feel.
Like
And
out of
yet
character?
it's a little out of character for me. Yeah.
Mhm.
And because, okay, here's the thing. I've often given the message, stop playing small, but I've stopped
Yes.
giving that message because I don't know what the hell that means.
Hmm.
Like, I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
what playing small means. And so I'm just that's something I'm working on is I get it from one standpoint. Like I understand, okay, well, it's like being courageous. It's like stepping into your power. But on a daily basis, what does that mean? Right. So, but I said some things to him about playing small and what it looks like to play big in the environment that he is in. And that is very unlike me to do. It was just a little out of character. And so, anyway, I get in the car when I'm done and I'm still buzzing. So I know this is not a caffeine high
Mhm,
because it would have burned out by now.
mhm,
It's been 4 hours since I have consumed the caffeine. I should be on a low. And instead, I call you and I am
mhm.
spastic. I'm I'm like, "Bettina, do you have any questions to ask the alien? Because I have tons." And you're like, "Of course you do." And I'm like,
I
"I
think
really
she's just
do."
wanting to make sure I don't have any so she can have all the time for herself.
You said, "I have 1 or 2." And I was like, "Okay, good. I'll make sure that you have time to ask them because I have a ton. And how long do we have? Can we do
Yeah.
this for like 2 or 3 hours? Because that's about how long my questions will last." And you're like, "I 45 minutes, I think is how long I told her." I was like, "We're gonna need to rebook her," because I have
Mhm,
tons of
mhm.
questions. And so I talked to you, maybe about 15 minutes, got off the phone with you,
Yeah.
picked up some food, got here, and you did indicate you had a couple of questions. But then we went in, we met Christy, and then when Ramadir, the energy of Ramadir came in, you literally went,
Yeah. I spaced out completely.
"Yeah." And I know that you were present because you heard it,
Mhm.
but there was it was almost like, I don't know, how did it feel to you? I can tell you what it looked like for me, but how did it feel to you when that was
To
happening?
me, I feel like I was charged the whole time. It's almost like not like I was shocked, but when you have this low, like when you touch like a wire that has like a low charge and you have this vibration, you
Mhm.
know, my whole body felt like that the whole time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what it was.
And I had that the whole time at the facility with Eric. And the whole time here, and then the whole time after, and then we stayed another hour because
Mhm.
we did a kind of like did a debrief, and then we did
Yeah.
a whole second episode. Like the episode
Yes.
was the first episode. It was the one that just went this last Tuesday, and then it was time to leave. What did you do after I left your house?
Well, actually, after you left, I was still in that energy. I made dinner, I watched some shows, and I just like went about my evening and went to bed maybe around maybe 10, something like that. But boy, don't ask me what happened the next day. And like the 4 or 5 days after that, I was dead. I mean, I was alive, but I was like,
No
I
energy.
don't know what happened. I feel
Yeah.
like I ran a marathon or I mean, I was exhausted,
Yeah.
exhausted, and exhausted doesn't even cut it. I mean, it's not the right word to describe how I feel or felt, but I couldn't function. I couldn't function in reality. I had to go to work on Monday. I was just so worthless at work. I mean, I could not function in reality. It was
I,
just
yeah.
so hard. The recovery period of that, whatever happened then on that Saturday, it took me 4 days to get better,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know how you felt that same day.
I got in the car and the energy started to leave because it hit me earlier.
Uh-huh.
It hit me earlier, and it's because I stay very wide open, because I know that I have angels and ascended masters around me always that say, "Okay, close up," or "We're protecting you," or "We're going to cloak you in." Archangel Michael loves to cloak me in labradorite, just for that protection. And so, yeah, so I stay open until I get some kind of notification that I need to
Hmm.
be like closed down. But I was spent. I walked out of here. I got in the car. My husband called and he was like, "So how did it go?" And I said, "It went really well. We're going to have them back." And I said, "What's interesting," and I said this in the debrief, there wasn't anything I really had never heard or didn't
Hmm.
know or
Hmm.
understand. It was a lot of confirmation. The masters, the great masters, have been saying it for years. Jesus, St. Francis of Assisi, even Father Richard Rohr now, Thich Nhat Hanh, Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi. They've all been saying the same things. John Lennon, all of them,
Hmm.
all been saying the same things, that we are love. And but what happened to me? So that night I went and I like had the questions out because I couldn't remember anything. Like after it's done, I was like, I don't know, it's the same messages. And he's like, "Well, how so?" And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So I began to read, the questions to him, and he,
Hmm.
indicated that he was gonna, watch the podcast at work because his boss can pull it up on YouTube and he can, watch it at work and listen to it. So he's really curious about it. But I gave him the answers that I could get
Yeah.
from the sheet. And so, but it was the next day that I woke up and I refer to it as chemicalization. And chemicalization is a term that we learned in Unity. And it means that chemical imbalance that occurs in your body, mind, your heart, your energy, your psychology, your mental, all of it, like the whole shebang. It is a chemical imbalance that occurs when a new truth teaching butts up against an old belief system.
Hmm.
And that is what it felt like when I got up Sunday. The really weird thing is I kept trying to text you to tell you I wasn't coming because we were going to teach me the Akashic record.
Yes.
We
Yes. Oh
weren't
my God, I forgot about that.
we were not going to do a podcast, but you were going to teach me the Akashic records.
Hmm.
And I literally felt like my brain had shut the door and was like, nothing is coming in, nothing is getting out.
Mm-mm.
We're done. And the other part, so I mentally completely shut off. Energetically, I was fatigued. I could, it was like when you said running a marathon, I couldn't catch my breath.
Hmm.
And I couldn't put enough food in my pie hole. I
Yeah.
was starving. I fixed a turkey breast and I ate like half of it. I fixed We had some like leftover like cheese, ravioli or tortellini or something. And
Hmm.
I did that with a little bit of sauce. I had 4 ears of corn. I had 2 sweet potatoes. Like it was, I couldn't get enough food in my body. And I wasn't hungry for sweets. I was just like
Hungry for
nourish
energy.
my body. Yeah, like nourish me.
Hmm. Yeah.
And like you, when I went to work on Monday, I was absolutely useless.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, they're paying me to keep my eyes open right now.
At the bare minimum, just keep your eyes open.
Like I ran my little meetings and I did my little work the best I could, but I'm like, I feel because I really want to stay in my integrity. I
Right.
feel
Yes.
like I need to be at home. They're not getting their money's worth out of me
Mm-mm.
today. And so then I worked on Tuesday and it was worse. And I was in meetings all day long. This is something that I did not tell you about. And I believe that this thing that happened Tuesday evening with one of my friends contributes to what we're about to talk about. Right.
Okay.
So, and so I have a friend. I have friends that are so talented and so gifted in all the areas we do. Bettina, you and I, we know some. We're going to have a
Yeah.
couple on
Yes.
here.
Hmm.
I have this friend who lives in Florida who learned something about. It's called soul language. Bettina, did I tell you this?
No, you didn't.
Okay, this was weird. This is a really interesting experience. So, she is learning soul language, and you can look it up. And I actually have an email from like the person who developed it. And the story goes that this person, not sure exactly what was. I think she was just like questioning, like, why are we here, or
Hmm.
some, one of those, one of those big, vast questions. Why here? Why now? Why us? What is this? What's the purpose of all this? And she went in she was getting a massage. And while she was getting the massage, she began to get a download. And so much so that she stopped the massage and asked for paper and pencil, which I don't know that I would have the balls to do that. I'd be
Hmm.
like, give me my massage. And y'all have to help me remember this later.
Yeah.
The body needs some rubbing, right? Like do something. I need some
I don't
touching.
want to interrupt this. This is just.
Exactly. This is really good. And so anyway, she began to write down these downloads for like 4 days or something like that. It was some astronomical number of days that she was getting a download.
Wow.
I cannot imagine trying to function while getting downloads, and I cannot imagine the exhaustion she felt when she was done.
Hmm.
And so in it, she figured out that we have 107 different soul languages, but each person that comes into this existence utilizes three of the 107. And so I get in with my friend on Tuesday afternoon and or early evening, and we start to go into. She says it's meditative, but I need you to contribute. So you can't go into a meditative state. Just close
Hmm.
down your eyes and go into like your soul, your heart, whatever. And so, and I can't remember. I don't remember how she came up with the very first language that I have was called the negotiator. And so I thought the negotiator was like negotiating between me and my soul languages. I didn't realize it was my first soul language.
Oh.
So I'm flying a little blind here. And she said, "What do you see when you see the negotiator?" And I said, "Have you ever been?" Well, I said, "The words that are coming to me are sacrifice and balance." And she said, "Tell me more about that." And I said, "Have you ever been the big kid on the playground, and the only other kids that want to teeter totter with you are the little ones?
Yeah.
And as the big kid, you're always stuck on the ground, or you're the one that's having to do all the work because the little one is just stuck in
Mhm.
the air?" And she's like, "Yes." And I said, "That's what it has felt like. Like
Mhm.
like in my life." And that's what the negotiator feels like. In my life, I've for most of it, I've been the bigger kid on the
Mhm.
teeter-totter stuck on the ground, the one that's always having to do the hopping so the little one
Yeah.
gets some kind of benefit because 'cause they're stuck up there in the air, right?
Right.
And she was like, "That's interesting. That's very interesting." So then we went to the second one, and then we went to the third one, and the third one was something to do with being able to see every perspective of a situation, of a story, of all of that. And boy, if that isn't me, I don't know what is, because
That is you.
yeah,
That really is you. Yes.
I struggle with taking a stand with certain things,
Yeah.
because I can see every single person's perspective, which is a weird
Mhm.
place to be.
Mhm.
And so anyway, then we go back and she's like, let's talk a little bit more about your first, about the negotiator, about the balance and the sacrifice. And she said, what is the sacrifice about? And I told my story. I told the story of, what my father did to me. And what I never told people is that I never felt like I belonged in my family. I
Mhm.
remember being about 3, 4 years old, taking a bath and thinking, these human beings are crazy.
Mhm.
Like, they are they have the greatest gifts of all. They have this beautiful, lush planet with all this amazing stuff on it.
Yeah.
And they're so stuck in their pain, and they create more pain for themselves. They're insane. Don't they know that we're princes and princesses? Don't they
Mhm.
know that we have it all here on this planet?
Yeah.
Something that came to me later that night is, I remember being little and leaving my body and going out into space and hanging out in the stars, and that feeling like home. I would
Wow.
leave my body and go out and hang out in the stars. These are things you don't know about me. I told you the spirit was going to run this podcast today.
You did. You told us. Yes.
So anyway, so I say to her, and I am still in kind of a meditation. My eyes are closed. I'm speaking from my soul. And I said, you have a child. And she said, yes. And I said, if your child did things that hurt and harmed others, but they did it from a place of not knowing, you would sacrifice everything you had. You would sell your house, you would sell your stock, you would sell everything. You would live in a trailer for the rest of your life if it meant saving your children.
Mhm.
And she said, yes. And I said, I sacrificed the first part of this life to save my children. My parents and my family are my children.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And I was like, what did I just say? And it came to me very, very clearly that this was a decision that was made. When we talk about, like, we chose this life, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
I didn't make it from the perspective of Indira, the girl that was going to grow into a woman. I made it from the perspective of source, that these particular people had major lessons to learn. And because they had done so many things, that they needed to learn them, and that I was willing to sacrifice everything for them to do that. And when I did sacrifice it, I said, you know what? Never mind. Just send me back. It'll be fine. And so I came back. Like, I came back.
Well,
And
thanks for coming back. I need you here right now.
I, I'm here with you. I did
Good.
this for you. And there is a other part of that. I'll have to ask if we have permission to tell his story, because there's an interesting part of that that involves Eric too. But when it was done, I don't think my lovely darling friend knew what to do with anything that I said, because she was like, "Well, I got to go get ready for my brother's birthday party." And I knew I knew she had to. I'm like, "Yeah,
Thanks for
keep that."
stopping by.
Yeah, exactly. She was like, "I don't think this did what it was supposed to do," and I was like, "No, it did." Like, it really did. In my mind, I'm having
Yeah.
this conversation with her. So I was, my body started to ache, and I started to feel like I was coming down with the flu.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Yeah.
again, this feels like chemicalization. So I took Wednesday, Thursday off, because there was no way I could get up,
Mhm.
get a shower, get dressed, and actually sit in a cubicle for 1 hour, let alone 9. I
Mhm.
felt terrible. I started having digestive issues. I started having sinus issues. My body was rebelling. I was in chemicalization full on. And then I got really angry.
Yeah,
And
you
I think
told me
it was
that.
Tuesday night. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. We
Yeah.
constantly hear people say to us, you're here to remember that you are love.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, done that, mastered that. I've done everything to remember that I am love. I know that I am love. Why? How do I have to be tortured by watching people rape and pillage our earth and the human beings on it and the animals? We are empathic beings. We all are empathic.
Mhm.
We are all empathic. We are way more sensitive than we realize.
Yeah.
And I do not believe, this is what I said to myself. This was like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I do not believe for 1 minute that I am on this planet to watch people destroy it and to destroy each other. I have already mastered the fact that I am love. Give me another assignment. That's where I was. So
But yeah,
what day
go
did
ahead.
I text you then? Was
Gosh, you
that
know what? The last
that
week is a
Wednesday?
blur. So I would say
Okay.
maybe Wednesday because I can't remember a thing. It was a hard, tough week.
It
And I
was.
mean,
I
you
didn't
and
feel
I,
like
we
support.
always walk away from these experiences with different, or from, we walk away from these encounters with different experiences because you texted me and you're like, are you okay? Because I'm not. And
That's literally my words, by the way. Are
that's
you okay?
exactly what you
I'm
said. I'm
not.
like, oh my God, what happened? But our experiences are so different. You were angry, you had questions, and I was just like so tired and exhausted and trying to get my energy back. So we're just so different on different spectrums, you
Yeah.
know, from
So
these events.
so I said, "I'm angry and I want
Hmm.
answers."
Yeah.
And so I make spirit talk to me through cards. This is why
Hmm.
mostly why I have decks of cards around,
Hmm.
because I need spirit to tell me, what energy do you want me to pull in? Who do you want me to work with? What is happening here? Because I'm very distracted by life. I like my crime dramas. You know, I can just sit there and Instagram with the best of them all night long. And I like my hair bands. So you're going to have to give me a little more clarity on who I'm supposed to work with.
Yeah.
So I pulled this deck out, which is the Kyle Gray Gateway of Light
Hmm.
Activation Oracle. These are two brand new decks. The one I showed you earlier, and it's
Hmm.
two brand new decks. And I said, tell me what energy to pull in and to work with. And the card that I drew was Hathor. And when I did a little bit, I didn't even do a deep dive. I did a shallow toe in the pool kind of, thing.
Yeah.
And I discovered that there is a race of ETs that are known as the Hathors because they believe that she was part of that race of being. And I was like, and I think I was telling you, like, I have to go work with Hathor. I think I was
Yes,
texting
you
you.
did.
I have to go work with Hathor. I got to get some answers because I cannot abide by the fact that a creator that is love would torture its beings into watching the demise of all of humanity. I cannot imagine that. So I went in and I called in the energy of Hathor, and I began to meditate and fell asleep and woke up with some realizations. And this is where courage comes in. This is where we're being told to walk that path, even if we don't know where
Yeah,
it
you're
goes.
right. Mhm.
So Rama Deer said something that spoke volumes to me. And dear listeners, don't stop here, please. But Rama Deer said, we send volunteers to help people remember. And in that meditation, I very much heard, did you ever wonder why you had that experience when you were a little kid, when you would leave your body and go out into the stars? Did you ever wonder why you thought, who are these human beings that I have been born into this life with? Because I did not resonate with any of them. I did not understand them. I've always understood our power. I've always understood the power of love. I've always understood the power of God. Ever since I was little, I understood that. And I've just tried to fit in, you know. And I said, I I I I haven't thought about that for a while. And she said, "Honey, you're not here to remember that you are love, nor are the people that listen to you. nor are the people that are around you, your circle of friends, Bettina included, my husband included, my roommate included. They're not here to remember that they're love. You all are vibrating at that level already. You are the volunteers. And I went, we are not here to remember that we are love. We're here to remember that we're the volunteers
Yeah,
and
that
that we
makes
are
sense.
that hit me or like a bullseye right between the eyes. I was
Mhm,
like,
mhm.
oh, holy crap. No wonder I was so angry and irritable because I'm over here like, I do remember. I can see it. This is it, right? Like this is why I'm drawn to shamanism because I can feel her pain. I can feel the
Yeah.
pain of Mother Earth. I can feel the pain of the children and the
Mhm,
people who have been preyed upon. I can feel all that. And you can too. Every single person who's listening to this, you know you can feel that.
mhm.
And you're probably asking yourself, then what do I do? You're right. I do. I don't understand this world. I don't understand a world that creates all of these processes and, like the government and education, and none of it works.
Mm-mm.
I don't understand this. Like, why am I here? And the answer is because we're volunteers.
Yeah, it's
And
true.
that took a minute and it's still taken minutes. It's taken days.
It's still processing. I know when you texted me and you told me all those things that came through for you, I'm like, this makes sense. This makes actual sense. And the weird part, well, I always say weird part, but it's not really weird. It's just the way things go sometimes. I do a lot of readings, and when you get the same pattern over and over with readings, you know that the message is also meant for you.
For you. Mhm.
And so I had readings in the past where I had people sitting in front of me and I told them, you are an ascended master. You volunteered to come back on earth to help us out. And some people who are listening, I know you know who you are. And so I never really figured that that's a message for me as well.
Mhm.
And when you said that, it made sense. Now I know why I'm having a hard time with certain things. Now I know why relationships usually don't work out because I'm not meant to commit to just one person. I'm meant to do other stuff. So
Right.
when you texted me all that, it's like, whoa, it's like
Well, at the same
a
time,
weight. Yes.
my husband was messaging you as well, because my husband has access to message
Mm-hmm.
us through a thing called GTL. So, my
Mm-hmm.
husband was messaging you at the same time. And what was he saying to you? Because he always has these really why I there he thinks in ways that we
He
never think of.
he thinks, yeah, I mean, to say he thinks outside the box is an understatement.
He
Okay,
thinks
he
outside
he
the
blows
box.
my yeah he blows my mind sometimes. So out of the blue, that same night, he just messaged me and he's like, "Have you ever thought about opening the Akashic records of Creator or Source?" And I'm like, "No, who am I to do that?" And he's like, "What do you mean, who are you to do that? Remember who you are. You are the image of Creator. You are an ascended master. Why wouldn't you be able to do that?" And I'm like, "Gosh, you're right." But
And you're
you
thinking
know,
the whole time that he and I are talking to each other, I'm
yes, I
talking
had
to
those
you.
two conversations going on,
And I
but I
had
thought
no
that,
idea that he was
yes.
even talking to you in that moment.
And
Yeah.
so from both sides at the same time, I got like bombarded with all these revelations. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Okay, I need another day to process all of this.
Mhm.
And so it's been, and I guess the reason why we're talking about this today is you need time to process,
Yeah.
and give
We're still
yourself
processing.
time to
Yeah.
process. It's there's so much going on, and I know Indira, you said something about you even when you have traumatic experiences, you need time to process.
Yeah.
And so just know, just because we have been doing this for so long, it doesn't mean that in one split second or a minute or so, or within a conversation, we're like, oh cool, let's just do this, and we're just so enlightened. We still have to process all the stuff that comes through for us. And I told Indira at my table before when she came over today, it's like, I know I have been on that path, but ever since she and I started spending more time, I mean, that process has just sped up
I have to say,
so
I'm
much.
sorry. I told her I was sorry at the table. And we're going to start calling that table the table of knowledge.
The table of
Her,
knowledge.
your kitchen table is the table
My
of
my
knowledge.
table is where things happening.
It is. And I apologized to you then. And I apologized to
Well,
him
she
and
did.
everyone. I did. So what I know to be true is that some people come in with particular gifts, come into this life with particular gifts. Some people come in with the connection gift, which means that they know all the right people and they know exactly the moment to introduce the right people to the right people and to make things happen. And that happened. I have a friend who introduced me to my current roommate, and she was like, I think you guys are going to be friends. And not only did we become friends, we became sisters. We've lived together for the last 5 years. She is one of my best friends, absolutely, and she's my sister. I mean, we get fussy with each other like sisters do, because you can't live in that kind of a tiny apartment and not get pissy with each other.
Yeah.
And so this person was a connector. I am a change agent, and people either really, really love me because they're ready for all those changes to happen, or they really, really hate me because they don't want to change. And I can think of 3 men in my life. 2 were husbands and 1 is a good friend that they have this love hate with me because they're like, well, your energy is just so magnetic, and you're just so positive and loving, and you just emit love, and it's great. And then when they're around me for a little bit, all of a sudden, and it's not me saying it's time to change,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's just that the energies change and shift when I'm around them so much that they almost like they go into a hole, and they just kind of they stop moving, they stop functioning until I leave again, and then they're like kind of lost. My second husband is still one of my best friends. I adore him, and his girlfriend listens, so I want to do a shout out to her. And hi, Laura. And my second husband has great potential of being an amazing healer on this earth. But what my presence did was bring up a lot of old pain for him. And
Hmm.
that's not anything he's comfortable with dealing with. But he would hold crystals, and he could almost have entire conversations with the vibration of a crystal.
Wow.
He is a very, very talented, gifted healer if he would have just given himself the opportunity to be that.
Hmm.
But,
Hmm.
and he and Laura are very happy, and I'm very glad that they are together, and I love them both, and she's an amazing human being. But he and I just it couldn't work, but we're still,
Hmm.
I still
Hmm.
adore him, and he still makes me laugh. And of course, I'm texting him last night because I went down that weird rabbit hole about Janie Lane, which, stems from a few episodes ago. Because I'm like, I want to know who violated one of my favorite musicians in the world. And so I'm texting him at like 10:30 last night going, I'm scarred for life. I figured out who it was, and I will never be able to unsee this. And so you have to do this with me. So, and he's that guy. He's the guy that I can message and be like, this is terrible. Be terrified with me. Be horrified with me. He's that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we all come in with that. And if y'all want to change, if you're open to change, take me out for tacos and margaritas. We're gonna make it happen.
But you better buckle up because it's a wild ride. Let me tell you that.
Well,
But
see,
it's also
because you said that, right? What is it
yes.
the spirit said? Because I told you to hold on to your knickers, right? Like grab onto you.
That's what you said. But all I hear from spirit is like seatbelt, seatbelt, and so that's kind of my word that I will always remember when I'm with you. Seatbelt.
Seatbelt.
But I
I'll
mean,
be like,
I'm very grateful. I just want you to know I'm grateful because I really need this. I always tell everybody else, how great they are and what their potential is. And I always told myself, maybe I'm on this earth just to let other people know who they are and what their potential is. But maybe spirit has a different plan for me, and whatever it is, I'm open to it. But I want you guys to know when you're out there and you're frustrated and you're like, what's my next step, or where am I going and why did I not figure this out sooner? give yourself some grace and give yourself some credit for what you're going through. And everything is a process. You need to process, things that are coming to you, and give yourself the time to do that. So it's all about time. Give yourself the time. And
I love that you're bringing that up. I want to show something.
mhm,
Because I was on my way here, I was listening to let me turn this down here. I listened to these different readers on YouTube, and this is really very funny. So I always do shout outs. This is one of my favorite readers on YouTube. It is White Feather Tarot, and you guys will love her. Her name is Reem, and she's phenomenal. She's phenomenal. She does, and you have to get used to how she reads, because she reads for options. Because she's doing a collective reading. So she wants to give you lots and lots of options. So you can choose lots of times by the deck that she's using or by the card that she's using. You can choose by a crystal, or you can choose by your zodiac. I can't choose. So I just tell spirit whatever my zodiac is. And I always do my sun sign and my rising sign. So I am a Virgo by birth. My rising sign is Pisces, and Pisceans are known because they come off as very spiritual. So our beautiful friend Leah is a Pisces, right?
mhm,
And she just she just emits spirituality. But this is what I want to show you. So this is the one that she did. This is one that she did today. Time has a message for you about a wish, a transformation, and a relief. So I'm going to put it up here so you guys can see White Feather Tarot. This is
mhm.
the one that you see. Your cat is sitting in the middle of
I
her
do.
card. We all love that, right? We all understand that. And she always starts it with, "Hey, soul family," and then she begins to choose. She does all the picking right there, so you can see it all and hear it all. But what she says over and over again in the Virgo Pisces reading, what's really interesting is Spirit's like, you only get one message, because it used to be like Virgo would be one and Pisces would be the other, and I'd get two messages. And for the last week, it's one message only. This is all you're getting, Indira. And so Virgo and Pisces is always chosen for the same pile. But it was, you have to give yourself time to process stuff. That doesn't mean that you have to stop doing other things. That
Mhm,
and sometimes that time looks like, okay, I've processed this chunk. Now I'm stable, and I'm going to, continue on with my, and then,
mhm,
oh, here it comes again. I have a little bit more to process. So I'm going to go, and I'm going to go deeper. One of my least favorite things to hear out of anyone's mouth is, "But I've already dealt with that,"
yeah.
which I want to respond in the most loving way. "Bitch, please. No, you have not. You dealt with it one time."
It's,
And I am not a bitch please person, but I definitely I'm like, "No, you did it one time. You scratched the surface.
mhm,
You didn't even draw
yes.
blood. Like you
No. Yeah.
just you left a little red mark.
Yeah.
You got to get down to the bone of
Mhm,
this." And
mhm. Yes.
so it takes time, and it takes that circular thing. So you and I, this was 7 days ago from today.
Mhm.
You and
Yeah.
I had the experience. You
Mhm,
and I Well, I took 2 days off. I don't know how you functioned. I literally was like, "I am having digestive issues. Now I'm having sinus stuff. Maybe I got the flu." And honestly, nobody wants me there, because I can't even put 2 words together to make a sentence. I Do you wanna pay me to watch YouTube videos? Because I feel like that's what you're gonna be doing. Seriously, I could not, and it was so bad. I was laying in bed with, massive stomach pains on Thursday, and I called my coworker and was like, "There's 4 things that need to be done. Can I walk you through them?" And she's like, "Yeah, absolutely." So 5 minutes later, they were done. I didn't have the energy to get up and do that.
yeah.
But with that, I also wanna say, I also had therapy on Friday.
Mhm.
And first I begged, and then I thanked my therapist for not calling 911, having me, as you said, try on this jacket, see if it fits,
Yes, exactly.
and throw
It's
me
your color too.
throw me in a padded room, because, and thank God that she understands who I am. And I will be honest with you guys, I go through a Christian church for my therapy. And I walked in and I'm like, "So my podcast partner and I interviewed an alien on Saturday." You know, where I started. And I'm like, "And now I'm mad at God because I do not understand this world." You know, like, it was,
Oh,
and I was able to do EMDR around it, because here is what the cognitive thought was. that I had with it is that I am somehow broken
Mm.
because I need that time to process, and I can't
Mhm.
function in a world that needs me to show up from 7:30 to 5 and sit in a
Yeah.
cubicle for 9 hours,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
I can't
Yes.
do that when I'm processing really big, heavy stuff, and so I want everybody to give yourself some grace
Yes.
because this is big
Too.
stuff. The
It's
things
big
that
stuff.
yeah, the
Yes.
things that we are understanding is big stuff. It's no accident that the government had the open testimonies of the military explaining that yes, we work with the
Mhm.
aliens, we work with them.
Yes.
It's no accident that they did that at this time. It is time for us to know who they are, to
Mhm.
find out if we are one or not.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I would venture to say that if you have ever felt like you did not belong in your family
Mhm.
because you did not understand what they were doing. I ran away from home at the age of 3. Like, I did not get them. I did not get them, like, I'm gonna go live with the lady with the bird who was my
Yeah.
babysitter. She had a bird. I understood the bird. I didn't understand those, and the word I used to the police officer was sons of bitches. I don't understand those sons of bitches back at my house. I'm
Wow.
gonna go live with the bird. I'm gonna go live with the bird. So, I would say if you do not understand, do not feel connected to your family, you don't understand them, and or you do not feel like this world is the way that it's supposed to be. I would say it might be time to start planting that seed
Mhm.
that maybe
Yeah.
you are not from this planet.
Exactly. And that's okay if you're not. It's okay.
We're pretty certain we're not now.
We're pretty certain, yeah. I mean, you
Yeah.
told me a lot of things that we're probably not ready to disclose yet, but we will in the future because we're still
Yeah.
processing. We're still
Yeah.
processing all of that. We're not. We don't even know where we're going with all that information. But one thing I learned, Indira, it's something that I wanted to tell you before we even got on this podcast. But um, we did the same thing. If you guys watched our episode when we went to the crystal show and we talked about that, how the energy really, really, I mean, exhausted us, and I mean, what we went through. And here I mean, we did it again. We
Mhm.
did it again. And it's like I thought to myself, when am I going to learn? When am I going to learn to protect myself from this energy? And what am I going to do? What if I can never protect myself from this energy? I cannot live like this. I cannot go through this all the time, you know? But then you said something to me and that made sense. And you said it's not about protecting yourself, it's about rising up to this energy. And this made sense. And this is what I need to do. I need to rise up to meet this energy. And I have work to do. We all have work to do. We're not perfect. So you guys have work to do, and Indira and I, we have to do a lot of work too. So we're all in this together, but just know we understand you, we get you.
Mhm.
Okay? Give yourself time to process, and there's always work to do.
And I love that you brought that up because so often we think that a negative experience equates that we've been attacked by something.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that's attacking us is us.
Mm-hmm.
I literally walked in with a bag of fast food today because I did not have the time, nor the energy, nor the bandwidth to
Mm-hmm.
warm up an amazing bowl of soup that I have at home. I will be eating that tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's a huge change that I have to do. And that leads us into our next episode,
Mm-hmm.
which is we're going to talk about reinventing ourselves and
Exactly.
what that looks like. But for now, understand that we are all in this together. We're all just figuring this stuff out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm just blessed that I have Bettina who understands technology and was willing to learn all the things about podcasts because I knew that we had a voice. But I will be really honest with you. I just keep staring at Patreon for our classes, going, somebody is going to have to work with me. Some intelligent being is going to have to check in and go, okay, Indira, we're going to walk you through this entire process of setting up this Patreon because your humanness is
Mm-hmm.
like, because I'm a people person. I'm not a technology person. I'm not. It's not my jam. But I would love to hear people's stories and talk to you. And so that said, let's share our feedback. Should we share it in this
Yes,
one?
yes,
Or should
go
we
for
share
it.
it in the other?
Yes.
Okay. So part of the reason we wanted to bring this up too is because, and one of my dear, she's so dear to me. I love her to pieces. I'm going to give her first name. Her first name is Cody. And Cody went through my school, I believe the second year that we went through. And she is actually a very talented animal communicator who has not quite stepped into those powers. And I believe that she's also a very talented Reiki practitioner. But I think that her arena is always going to be animals, right? Animals and the earth. She is very, very deeply connected to the earth. So on Wednesday night, as you and I were still processing all this brouhaha, and she messaged me and she goes, I binge watched almost all of your podcasts today while I was working. I forgot I'm not the only human on the planet who struggles with human problems, and I really needed that. So the next afternoon, I see it, and by the way, I just hit like all of my minutes of okay, my diet pill is working, like my I'm moving the energy through my body. And so I said, thank you for telling me this. It really, really helps to know that we are doing something helpful and that you're getting something from it. So this is what she says. Of course. And even though I'm a youngster, LOL, because she is, I believe she's under the age of 30, just barely. I feel like I am doing awful at life because there is something always going wrong. A car breaking down, health issues. She's got a bearded dragon who has a tumor, trying to keep up with the dishes and the laundry. It all feels so overwhelming. Ladies, raise your hand if
Mhm,
that feels like your life. And she goes, I've been in a bit of a funk, and both of you wise older women who in my
thank
head are
you.
that's what I said, who in my head are doing so much better than bitter. We're also very much bitter. Doing so much better than me at literally everything. Talking about how you struggle with depression
Mhm,
and keeping your house clean and having too much stuff and still dealing with trauma or struggling with relationships, etc. It made me remember that I need to stop comparing my journey to others, that I am being way too hard on myself, and that I need to have more women in my life. I've always said, and it's a quote from someone, the comparison is the thief of joy. And that
hmm,
is absolutely true. We didn't ever
yeah,
compare to others. Instead, share your life with others so you can understand that you are not weird. So then she says, all of my friends are men, and I've always said that they cause less drama and that they are more straightforward. But you made me realize that's probably a large part of why I've been feeling like I'm stuck in the cycle of hustling all the time. Probably because they are not doing the dishes and keeping the house clean. They're doing guys stuff,
exactly,
and
exactly.
they're probably living with their moms and that shit's being done for them. And she said, I really do need more genuine, strong, and kind women in my life. I've not allowed myself to be sensitive because I'm spending pretty much all my time with men.
Mm.
And we are not, you and I said, we are not
No,
anti-male.
of course
You
not.
and I together have been married 7 times. We love men,
Yeah.
and we need to help them be able to feel safe to have their feelings.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we do that first by making safe environments for them, and we
Mhm.
do that by connecting as women.
Yes.
And so I do have some plans that I've not talked to Bettina about this
Mm.
connection thing, that I'm not gonna announce until I've talked to Bettina about it because I'm not doing that to you. Although I've
Thank
got
you.
some plans, you
You
bet.
you yeah, it's been a lot this week, so thanks for being gentle with me.
Oh, when I tell you that we're not here to remember we love. We're here to remember we're
Yeah.
volunteers. That didn't feel
Yes.
very gentle, Bettina.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but anyway, know that if you're listening to this, the reason that we are choosing to be so honest about our lives
Mhm.
is we have to.
Yeah.
We all have to recognize that we're going through the same stuff.
Yeah, we are.
And I'm going to guess that many of you have sat there and wondered, why why here? Why life? Why are we doing
Mhm.
this? You've had that existential crisis. Why am I here to watch entire people be tortured and suffer great consequences. And I feel so helpless. Well, I have a feeling we're not going to feel helpless any longer. Just stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. And a quick shout out to somebody who I got an email from this week, and her name is Alexandria. Thanks for listening. I will see you soon.
Yay. Yeah, that is fantastic.
All
So
right.
feel free to email us, and it is twocroneswithamic@gmail.com, correct? Is it two crones
That
with a
is
mic?
correct. Yes, thank you. I
Okay.
should have blended in, but I will
That's all
get there.
right. No, we're just present today.
Yep.
So two crones with a mic at gmail.com. Please email us, let us know what you think, give us some
Hmm.
feedback. The next episode, so we always do our Friday message.
Hmm.
If you don't tune into our Friday message, it's only on YouTube, it's not on Spotify.
Yeah.
And we do like a reading or a connection of some sort. And so I have a feeling that that is actually going to tie in a little bit more to the next Tuesday's message about, it's just a feeling I have, not because I've actually planned this out in my
Sure.
brain. But now that we are aware that we need to elevate our energies to be able to vibrate at a higher level, and we're talking about reinventing ourselves, I have a feeling that they're going to start giving us messages on how to start doing that.
Yeah. That's good.
They being,
Hmm.
the powers that cannot be seen, but can definitely be felt and heard.
I'm ready for it.
Me too. Thanks, everyone. And I
Thank
apologize
you.
for monopolizing the mic today. But we just want to get those messages out. Yeah.
That's all we want to do. We'll see you soon.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.
Bye.